everybody. Happy Friday. Nice to see your names up there. 45 minutes of mat Pilates. Get a little towel roll if you feel like you're going to need something for more on hands and knees later. And just remember to work at your own pace. If something doesn't make sense or doesn't feel right, absolutely stop. Find something else that works for you. I'll try to give a couple of modifications if I think something's going to be really challenging or very confusing or both of the above. Hopefully none of the above, but I'll try to give a couple modifications. But again, if something doesn't feel right in your body on today, and it's a different day than any other day is, things might change, from time to time. Just do what works for you and catch your breath and join us as we flow to the next exercise. All right, I'm going to start my timer and let's go ahead and start standing up on our mats. We'll get right in the middle of that mat. Let's get our feet hip width apart. We're going to press the base of the big toe, the base of those pinky toes nice and firmly into the floor. And let's shift our weight right over the front of those ankle joints. We can take our hands right to our midsections, heels of the hands right at those hip bones, and then fingertips interlacing right around that belly button. Let's lift our toes up, feel those arches come up a little bit further from the floor. Spread the toes apart. We're going to anchor them down to the floor one at a time, starting with that pinky toe. Pinky toe comes down, then the fourth, the third, the second, and finally that big toe presses its way into the floor. Let's shift our weight toward the toes and toward the heels, paying attention to what you feel under those fingertips, under those palms as you shift your weight. Keep it going. Maybe we feel a little activity through those trunk muscles as we hit the end ranges of our base right at the toes and right at the heels. Moving back over the ankle joints, we're going to take our fingertips to our waistline and now shift the weight from foot to foot. Press those fingertips and press those thumbs into your waistline. Feel the muscles contract and relax at a little bit of a cyclic way as we push our weight from side to side. And then we can make some little circles around that base as well. Again, feel the muscles turn on and turn off in different areas and different ranges of that motion. Let's shift and go the other way. Circle for 4, for 3, for 2. And for 1, and we'll bring our weight right back over the center of those ankles. Let's take our hands down. We're going to widen up our feet so they're about a little wider than our shoulders. And let's point our toes out toward the bottom corners of the front of our room. We're going to soften up the knees, and now the weight's going to be back in line with the heels. We'll drop a plumb line right down through the center of the body. Center that plumb line right between your two heels. Drawing the belly and spine gently toward each other. Feel like you're tightening a seatbelt right around that waistline. We're going to take an inhale and bring our arms up and overhead. Exhaling, we'll take the arms out to the sides and then down. Again, big breath in, arms come up. Let's pause them in that Y shape. We're going to anchor those shoulder blades down toward our hips and toward that belly button. You're going to feel some muscles working on the sides of those blades. Keeping that core nice and active, let's take a little side bend, a little tipping side to side. We're picturing those rib cages lifting up and off of the hips as we make our way to each side. One more time to each. Feel those side muscles working to control the motion, both as we descend over to the side and as we ascend back to the top. Let's bring our arms out to the side, pausing with those fingertips at shoulder height. And we're going to circle those arms backwards. Draw some circles on the walls out to either sides of your hands, using those middle fingers as your little stylus. Roll for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Hold them there for a big breath in. As we exhale, we'll bring those arms down. Let's bring our feet in and we'll make a quarter turn in preparation for moving down onto our mat. If you do want to grab a towel roll for a little extra padding for the knees, you're welcome to grab it now. We're going to come all the way back to the back edge of that mat and keep those feet about shoulder width apart. Keeping the belly gently drawn toward the spine, we're going to soften up our knees and hinge forward from that trunk. We're going to send our tailbone back to where the wall and the floor meet behind us. Maybe we bend those knees a little bit more if we need to enter a little more slack into the system. We're going to shift our weight again, just slightly forward. We want our knees to still be behind our toes, but we want that center of gravity to be right over those ankles. Maybe we can hinge forward a little more, drawing that trunk to a parallel position. And let's let our arms hang. As they hang, they'll drop toward a vertical position. We can wiggle them out a little bit. You'll feel a little stretch through the back of the thighs, a little activity through those glutes. We're going to bring our fingertips down toward the mat and then let's row. Let's squeeze our blades and release them. Again, feel free to shift your weight forward or back a little more if you find a position that feels more stable or more comfortable than where we are now. I just want that trunk nice and still. I want that pelvis neutral, facing the floor. Row for 3, for 2, For one, we're going to hold that row, elbows by our sides. Let's press those hands to the wall behind and then release them down to the mat. Press, bend, press, and bend. Same deal. That trunk stays nice and still. If you need to shift your weight forward and back or back in front of those feet, you're welcome to. Let's bring those hands down to the floor, and we're going to shift our weight away from the screen and toward the screen. You should feel those glute muscles activating, working a little more as we shift side to side. We're warming them up using gravity. Shift for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Coming right back to the middle. We'll take our fingertips to the floor, and let's make our way all the way down to hands and knees. We're going to line up our wrists and shoulders. I'm going to line up our knees and hips so we have a nice square underneath that trunk. Let's move through a few cats and cows. Upper body stays still. We're going to curl from that belly button, draw it to the ceiling, curling that pubic bone under, shortening it toward the breastbone. Keeping the upper body nice and still, we're going to move through a little cow position, reverse through that lower body. Curl, lower body cat, release to cow. Twice more, curl, release. One more time, curl and release. We'll take that body right back to neutral, wag the tail side to side. Keep your trunk nice and still up top. We're going to take a hip to a shoulder and then the opposite hip to the other shoulder. Let's take it back to neutral. Feet come together, knees come apart. We're going to rock that bottom back down toward the heels. Stretch it back, reach those hands forward toward the front of your mat. Widen them up if you need a little more room through those shoulder joints. And we're going to lower our foreheads toward the floor. Maybe they touch, maybe they don't. You are welcome to bend those elbows if you need to take a little more slack into the system. And whether those elbows are bent and on the floor or straight and slightly lifted, we're going to rock that trunk so that one armpit comes toward the mat, and then we'll release and let the other side drop. One side toward the floor and the other side. We're going to get a nice stretch to the lats here. If you do feel pulling or pain in the forearm or in that armpit, I want you to bend those elbows. Take that pressure off. Coming right back to the center, we'll take a big breath in. As we exhale, everybody gets to walk their fingertips in toward each other and drop those forearms to the mat. We'll shift our weight forward over the forearms and let's take our legs back behind the body. We'll rest them on the floor. Forearms are parallel to each other as best we can keep them there. And let's draw that belly up toward the spine to say, keep that core nice and stable. Keep that low back nice and supported. Squeeze your blades together behind the back. Breastbone comes toward the floor. Reverse it. Press those breastbones away from the floor. Shoulder blades toward the mat. Squeeze and press. Squeeze and press. Repeat for 4, for 3, for 2, and for 1. Hold here for a big breath in. Exhaling, we're going to come all the way down to the mat and roll to our backs. Bend at those knees, lining up our heels with those sit bones, and we're going to take our hands down by our sides. We're first going to draw those fingertips down toward our feet. Feel a little activity right below those shoulder blades, the outsides of those shoulder blades, and right behind those armpits. And then let's walk our hands out to the side slightly. They might be out past the borders of your mat, about 30-degree angle away from the body. Let's inch our heels and our knees toward each other and pressing those shoulder blades into the floor. We're going to take a big breath in. Exhaling, draw the belly to the spine, drop that breastbone down, nod the chin toward the neck. Keeping that upper body nice and still, including those shoulders on the mat. We're going to rock that lower half of the body toward the screen and then rock it away. See if you can move from the waistline down as one unit. You'll feel those side muscles kicking in to control your motion as your knees move to the opposite side. Rock the knees for 4, for 3, for 2, and for 1. Coming right back up to neutral. Both hip bones pressed down toward the floor. We're going to widen our feet just a touch till the heels line up with those sit bones. And let's walk our hands back until they're lined up right by our sides. Let's work through our pelvic clock. We're going to picture 12 by the breastbone, 6 by that pubic bone, 3 and 9 on either side. Again, keeping that upper body nice and still. We're going to curl to 12 o'clock, shortening the pubic bone toward the breastbone. We'll reverse it and lengthen it the other direction. Curl to 12, release to 6. Try as best you can to keep those glutes out of it. We're going to feel those abdominals work a lot harder if we're not squeezing those glutes together. We're rocking to 12, rock to 6. We'll come right back to neutral, keeping the thighs nice and still. Let's rock that pelvis from 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock. Tip it side to side. As one hip comes down, the opposite cheek lifts up off the floor and moves toward the ceiling. Shoulder blades stay down. Think particularly with this direction of keeping those collarbones away from the middle of the body and anchored down toward the floor. 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock. Let's take that pelvis back to neutral. Take a big breath in. Exhaling, we're going to bring one knee up to 90 degrees. Draw the belly down toward the spine. Let's bring our opposite knee up to meet it in tabletop. Press the hands and the thighs toward each other, building your pressure from both ends until you feel some work from that lowest rib area all the way down toward the pubic bone. Keeping that pressure, straighten and bend those knees. Find that first point of resistance where you feel like it'd be really, really hard to get that leg all the way straight. Use that as the top of your motion and then bend back to that tabletop starting position. Straighten and bend. Straighten them up. Find that straight position or the straightest you can get them. Drawing the belly down toward the spine, we're going to arc our arms forward almost all the way to the mat. We'll keep them hovered. And let's start our 100 breaths with our heads down on the mat. We're going to pat that air up and down, inhaling for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep that going. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember here, you could always have those knees bent. We could challenge ourselves further by taking those feet forward slightly, bringing them up to where the wall and ceiling meet. We could even have a kickstand down if we needed more support. Breathe it in. And exhale. Let's nod that chin. Maybe we lift the back of the head up off the floor while keeping those shoulders down. Get the front of the neck working. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale. One more big breath. Inhale and exhale. Pause where you are. Keep those hands nice and still. We're going to pull our knees to tabletop from wherever they've been. Lower that head and neck down, but maintain that chin nod. And we're going to float our arms up to the ceiling. Palms are going to face in. Hands will just shoulder width apart. We're going to lower those blades to the mat and then wrap those blades around the front of the body, reaching them to the ceiling. Draw those blades down, wrap them forward. Repeat at your own speed. Belly stays drawn down as we move the upper body, and that breastbone stays anchored down toward the floor. Maybe we challenge ourselves as those arms are moving up and down. What if we straighten our legs up toward the ceiling? If that's too much, what if we piston those legs forward, bringing them just slightly farther toward the wall in front of us? Keep those arms moving for 4, for 3, for 2, and for 1. Let's pull the knee closest to the screen into the chest. Slide that opposite leg all the way out along the mat. Draw that heel down. Keep that quad nice and active on the straight leg. And we're going to pull that bent knee across the body. Give it a little wiggle. Wiggle for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Take it right back to the center. Keep that knee into the chest. Rolling the shoulders back and down. We'll maintain our little chin nod. Look towards your toes on the bent knee side. And let's lift that straight leg off the floor just a few inches. Take the leg side to side. Draw a horizontal line on the wall in front of you, keeping that trunk nice and still. We could curl that head up just a bit, hovering it up off the floor. Let's move to circles. Draw some circles on the wall in front with that straight leg. Let's circle the other way. Circle for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's lower that leg all the way down to the mat. We'll reach that head back to the floor if we have lifted currently. Keep that chin nod as we switch our legs. Opposite knee pulls in. We'll slide the other leg all the way out along the mat and then tightening up the front of that thigh. Let's bend that, keep that knee bent, and we'll draw it across the body, wiggling into that other hip. Feel that hip open. Big breath in, and as we exhale, we'll come right back to the center. Keep a hold of that bent in shin. Hover that supporting straight leg up off the mat. Let's take it side to side, out and in, keeping that trunk nice and still. You're welcome to take your hands right to that hip bone if you want to use your fingertips to monitor stability. One more time, side to side. Nod that chin again. Maybe we lift the head while keeping the shoulders down. Move that leg in circles. Draw those circles on the wall in front. 2 more. Big breath in. Exhaling, let's take it the other way. Circle for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Switch the legs. Pull the knee in. Press the opposite leg forward. That head could be lifted or lowered. Move through at your own pace. Keep that belly drawn down. We could always reach that foot a little closer to where the wall and ceiling meet versus closer to the floor if you need more support for your trunk. Switch them for 4, for 3, for 2, and for 1. Let's pull those knees back into the chest. Give them a nice little hug. We'll curl that upper body down if it's been lifted and release that neck. Let's look over one shoulder, taking a big breath in. Appreciate that stretch on the other side. Exhale, let's turn our head back to the ceiling and over to the other side. Breathing in. Exhale. Let's forward toward the ceiling again. Maintain that little chin nod. We're going to keep a hold of the leg farthest from the screen and let's slide our opposite leg out nice and straight along our mat. Again, we'll tighten up the front of that thigh. Let's hold on behind the thigh and stretch that leg straight up to the ceiling. Keep those shoulders down as best you can. If keeping the leg straight pulls those shoulders forward, I'd rather have you drop the blades down and bend that knee a little bit. That's okay. We're going to hold at that stretch point when we start to feel a nice opening between the sit bone and the back of that thigh. And then we can add to this with a little flexing and pointing of that foot. Flossing those nerves, getting all of that connective tissue around the muscle in the back of the leg loosened up. Point the toes to the ceiling and let's float our arms up to the ceiling as well. Again, if you need to bend the knee a little bit to put some slack back in, that's fine. Feel those bones in the back of the pelvis pressing into the floor, and let's take that lifted leg out to the side and back to the center. Keep those hip bones pointed like headlights right up to the ceiling. Maybe we test it, take that leg a little further. If you roll a little bit, no worries. You're not going to fall, not going to go anywhere. It gives you information as to where your base of support ends. Let's make some circles. Start off small. Again, we keep those hip bones pointed like headlights right up to the rafters of your room. Circle the other way. Here's 4. Here's 3. Again, feel free to bend that knee if you need to. Twice more. And last time, let's reach that leg to the ceiling. Hang on behind that thigh. We'll draw our knee into the chest. We can wiggle it side to side a little bit. And let's switch it up. Keep that belly drawn in as we pull our other knee into the chest. We'll slide that leg that we just lengthened out all the way along the mat. And then hanging on behind the thigh, let's stretch that opposite leg up toward the ceiling. Again, keeping in mind that we want those shoulders anchored down and back. So bend the knee if you need to. Flex and point that foot. Lengthen through those connective tissues all along the back of the leg. Point the toes to the ceiling, breathe it in. Exhale, belly to spine. Let's float those arms up as well. And we'll take that leg side to side. Again, try to anchor those bones in the back of the pelvis nice and firmly into the floor as we move those legs. One more time, side to side. And we'll move on to circles. Stir that hip in its socket. Here's 3. Here's 2. Here's 1. Pausing at the top. Take a big breath in. Exhale, circle it the other way. There's 4. 3. 2. And 1. Let's float those arms forward. We're going to anchor them behind the thigh of the leg that we're stretching. Roll those shoulders back and down, and we're going to draw that belly a little closer to the spine. Nod the chin, lift that head, and let's move through our single straight leg stretches. Opposite leg comes up, and we lower the other leg down to the floor as we switch our grip. Lift and switch, lift and switch. Repeat for 4, for 3, for 2, and for 1. Bring those knees back to tabletop. We'll hug them into the chest. Curl that head and neck down, maintaining that chin nod, and we'll rock that body side to side. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Take them right back to the middle with the belly drawn in. We're going to bring those knees right back to tabletop. Let's take our hands down to the floor and let's extend those legs back up toward the ceiling, making close to an L shape between those legs and that chunk. Again, a little bit of a bend in the knees is perfectly fine. We're going to open those feet out to the sides. Find the point where you get a little inner thigh stretch. We'll inhale, bring those feet together. Exhale, open. Inhale, feet together. Twice more, open. Bring them together. Last time, open. Bring them together. Let's circle those legs in opposite directions of each other. Again, we're stirring those hips in their sockets. Arms can be down by the sides. They could be floated up to the ceiling. It's up to you. I'm going to keep mine down. Let's circle the other way. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bend those knees to 90. We're going to flex our feet now. Turn the toes and those knees out to the side. So we're making a small diamond from the heels to the knees, right to that pubic bone. Big breath in. Exhaling, press those knees straight as much as you can, straight as you can with those heels together. And then we'll bend back up to that diamond position. Exhale and press. Inhale to diamond. Exhale and press. Inhale to diamond. Repeat. Here's 3. Here's 2. Shorten the range if you need more assistance. Back to that diamond position. We're gonna bring our knees together. Keep those feet flexed as we bring our knees hip width apart. Pull them into the chest if we need to decompress that back for a second. We'll take a big breath in wherever we are. Exhaling, we'll draw that core in again. Belly to spine. Float those knees back to tabletop and the arms come to the ceiling to meet it. Let's take that arm closest to the screen, back behind the head, and press that opposite heel forward. Inhale through center and exhale and switch. Inhale through center, exhale and switch. Keep it moving. We'll repeat. Here's 4. Here's 3. Here's 2. Good job. Here's 1. Take them right back up to tabletop. One heel at a time comes down to the mat. Exhale, lower the heel. Inhale it up. We could always touch the toes if you needed a slight step down in terms of difficulty. A little less leverage on that body. Alternate for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Coming back to tabletop, breathe it in. As we exhale, both heels come down and the hands come back overhead. Inhale to tabletop. Exhale. Inhale and lift. Last 2, exhale, heels down. Inhale to tabletop. One final time, exhale, heels down. We're gonna leave those heels down. Let's press our toes into the floor. Inch those heels back a little closer to our bottoms, and let's reach those arms back overhead. Find that first point of resistance, either along the sides, at the top of the shoulders, or through those armpits, and hold in there. If you feel a real intense big pulling through the armpit or through those upper arms, I want you to bend the elbows a little bit to put some slack back in the system. Let's nod the chin toward the neck. Drop your breastbone and middle back toward the floor. That might pop those arms up overhead a little bit closer to the ceiling. If you have some stiffness in your upper back or shoulders, that's okay. We're going to draw the lowest ribs and that belly down toward the floor. And let's straighten our legs out as best we can along the mat. If your back does not like this, if you have different discomfort in your low back, bend those knees up again. We're going to walk our legs out, lift and lower one, lift and lower the other. Again, if you find that this is uncomfortable on your back, feel free to bend those knees. We could take our hands right to those hip bones, monitor that they're staying nice and still as we move those legs. Switch for 4, for 3, 2, and 1. Big breath in. As we exhale, we'll bend up those knees again, and we're going to turn ourselves over to hands and knees. And this is where we'll be on hands and knees for a little bit of time now. So if you do want to have a little more padding, grab that towel roll for your knees or double your mat up right underneath those tops of those shins. All right, we're going to make our way up to all 4s, knees and hips, shoulders and wrists are lined up. Cat and cow, just like we did at the beginning of the session in warm up. Upper body stays relatively still. We're moving through the pelvis and that lower part of the trunk. Curl the cat, release to cow. Take it to neutral, wag that tail side to side, hip to shoulder, hip to shoulder. Shoulders are pressed forward toward the floor. We're keeping them away from our ears as best we can. Let's take the hips right back to neutral, and we're going to shift toward the hands and shift back toward the heels. Rock it forward, rock it back. I want you to imagine a small object balanced in the curve of your back as you rock. So the motion's coming from those shoulders and from those hips and knees. One more time, rock it back. Rock it to all 4s, and we're going to shift our weight side to side. Just get used to what muscles work, how things change as we press our hands firmly into the mat. Taking that body right back to neutral, we'll move to shoulder taps. We're going to take one hand to the opposite shoulder, float it back down, and switch. Notice there's some subtle weight shifts, a little more subtle than shifting our weight all the way to one hand and the other. But again, here we're trying to keep the small of the back nice and still. If we had something balanced in it, we wouldn't want it to move as those arms move. If you want to make this more challenging, we open up those hips a bit, come more toward a plank, almost toward a plank position. Tap it through 3, tap for 2, tap for 1. Hands come down. Let's move back to that upright all 4s position. If you're not already there, hold here for a big breath. As we exhale, that belly stays pulled toward the spine. Squeeze your blades and press them forward. Squeeze and press, squeeze and press. Keep it going. We could challenge this further by pressing the balls of the feet into the floor and unweighting our knees. Press for 4, whether the knees are down and up. 2, and 1. Knees come down if they've been lifted. We'll bring those tops of the feet back to the floor, and let's move on. Shake out those wrists a little bit if you need to. Right. Back on hands and knees. We're going to take one leg back behind the body, stretch it back as far as we can with a stable trunk. Back stays nice and still. Opposite arm reaches forward. Bring that arm and leg back in and switch to the other side. If you balanced a ski pole on your back, could you keep it nice and still? Or a broomstick, or your foam roller if you have one of those. That's almost the ultimate challenge here, to keep that nice and still as we move the body, move those limbs. Let's pause, one arm and the opposite leg back. Keep the leg where it is, switch those arms. Here's where your weight shift comes in. Maybe those fingertips come up. Keep that leg where it is, switch those arms back. Let's repeat. Good. Hand comes down, let's switch it up. We'll put that opposite leg back. Other arm comes forward, we have our opposite reach. Dial in that stability and we'll switch our hands. Shift the weight, come to the fingertips. Reach that arm forward if you can. Shift to the other side. Leg stays nice and still, trunk stays facing the floor. Keep that object balanced in the small of your back. Good, one more time. We'll shift back to our opposite reaches. Hands come down and knees come down, cat and cow, curl and release. Again, curl and release. Take it right back to neutral, wag that tail side to side. We're going to take everything back to the middle. Let's open that arm closest to the screen, out to the side. Look over that shoulder if you can. Float the arm down, switch it up. Opposite arm comes out, look over that shoulder. Let's alternate through here at your own pace. Try to keep those breastbones facing the floor. Just use your head to look over that shoulder. Good. Now take an arm out to the side. We'll follow that breastbone toward the wall. Thread the needle, reach that arm through to the opposite wall, look over that shoulder. Inhale, arm comes up and out. Exhale, thread it through. Let's take ourselves back to all fours. Repeat on the other side. Opposite arm comes out, look over that shoulder, breastbone comes toward the wall. Exhale, reach it through. Inhale, arm comes up and out. Exhale, thread it through. We can try one more for good measure on the side. Arm comes up and out. Exhale and thread. Take it right back up to hands and knees. Shake out those wrists. Big breath in. And as we breathe out, we're going to come down onto our forearms. Those thighs are still nice and vertical. Knees are directly below those hips. If you don't feel great in this position, if it bothers your head for any reason, you're welcome to do the next few movements back up on hands and knees. Also, if you wanted to be on all fours, but you did need some support for your neck, we double those fists up, rest your forehead on your hands to support that head a little bit better. Keeping the belly drawn toward the spine, we're going to take that knee closest to the screen, keep it bent, float it to the ceiling, and then back down in line with the other. Press it up, float it down. Twice more. Last one. Take it down. Take that knee out to the side, back to the center. Out to the side, back to the center. Twice more. Last one. Take it down. Press that leg up to the ceiling. Keep the thigh nice and still. Straighten and bend for hamstring curls. Heels 4, 3, 2, and 1. Straighten it out. Bend that knee one more time. Pulse to the ceiling. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Float that side down. We'll shift our weight toward that knee we just used. And let's do it all over again. Belly draws in, opposite leg comes up, keeping that knee bent. And then we'll float the leg to the floor. Press to the ceiling. Float it down. Twice more. Last one. Float it down. Knee comes out to the side, back to the center. Float it out. Bring it back. Last 2. Last one. Take it down. Let's bring that leg up. Straighten and bend the knee. Here's 4. Curl that hamstring for 3, 2, and 1. Straighten that leg out. We'll bend it up again. Pulse to the ceiling. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Float that knee down. Feet come together, knees come apart. Let's rock that bottom back to the heels. Stretch those arms toward the front of your mat. Again, if you need more room for the tops of the shoulders, bring those hands a little bit farther apart from each other. Drop that forehead down. And let's wrap those shoulder blades around the front of the body. Open up those armpits, open up those sides. Feel that stretch along the back of the body. If you need to bend the elbows, that's perfectly fine. Go ahead and do so now. We'll take one more big breath in here. Exhale, walk those hands toward one side of your mat. Breathe it in again. On the exhale, we'll walk our hands to the other side of the mat. Hand over hand, big breath in. Exhaling, let's take our arms forward. We'll bring ourselves upright and let's take ourselves into a long sitting position. We're going to be lengthwise on that mat still. Get your weight settled right above those sit bones, right in front of those sit bones rather. And the feet are going to be in front of us and slightly out to the sides in a little narrow V. You're welcome to keep those knees bent if you need to do so to keep that trunk upright versus having the legs straight and sinking back. Coming up tall, we're going to bring our arms up in line with the feet. Keep that core active or reactivate it if you need to. Hinge forward. Notice that that low back is staying nice and still. As you hinge forward, you might feel some length or just some stopping through the back of the thighs. Inhale, back up to that upright vertical position and exhale, hinge forward. Reach those fingertips toward the wall. Inhale up, exhale, hinge. Inhale up, exhale, hinge. All right, we're gonna come up vertically aligned. Take those hands to the mat. Bring the feet in toward each other. Shake out those knees. Resetting that belly to the spine, we're going to bend our knees and line our heels up with our sit bones. Take those toes back to the floor, and let's take one hand out to each knee. Okay, elbows are bent. Roll the shoulders back and down, and let's press our knees and our hands toward each other. You'll feel those hips activate a bit. Keeping the belly drawn in, slowly straighten those elbows out. Just to the point where you say, okay, I feel my core start to work. We're going to hold it there. Good. Keep that belly drawn in, open up one arm out to the side. Keep that other hand firmly pressed into your knee. You'll feel your side muscle working on that side that the hand that's pressed in. Let's take that hand back to the knee, switch it up. Press the hand and the knee toward each other firmly. Opposite arm opens up, hold. Keep breathing, keep drawing that belly back. You should really feel some effort through that trunk muscle on the side where the hand and leg are pressing into each other. Inhale back to the starting position, reverse, opposite hand out, press into that thigh. Take a few breaths. Switch it up one more time. Open that arm, press in the hand into the knee. Exhale. Let's take our hands right back to those shins. We're going to bring ourselves up a little taller and let's take our hands back behind the body. We have a couple of options here. Try to get those elbows straight as you can. If you can't have them back behind the body and do so, take those hands and just line them up with your sit bones. Okay, hands could point out to the side if your wrists are a little stiff. We're going to squeeze our blades wherever we are. And if you have some slack to take out of the system, we're going to walk that lower half of the body forward until you feel a stretch through the front of those shoulders and the front of the arms. We're stretching our biceps here a little bit. I do want you to make sure you can keep that shoulder squeeze so that you're feeling it in the muscle and not just in the front of the shoulder. So if you need to reassess, bring that bottom closer to your hands if you start to feel anything sharp in the front of the shoulders. We're going to bring our feet a little bit farther apart and let's send our breastbones up to where the wall and ceiling meet in front of us. Take a breath. Breathe it out. We're going to take 2 more deep breaths here. You can keep your bottom on the floor, or if you'd like to lift up to reverse tabletop, you decide. Big breath in. Exhale. Again, big breath in. Exhale. Let's lower that bottom down. Once it touches the floor, release those hands. Shake those wrists out of touch. We can clasp our fingers together. Move those wrists in circles. Good. All right, we're going to turn and face that screen. Let's come up onto our knees. Again, add extra padding as you need it. Draw the belly in, curl that pelvis toward 12 o'clock, shorten the pubic bone toward the breastbone. That'll bias you away from hyperextension in that back. We're going to take our arms up and overhead, reach the fingertips to the ceiling and drop those blades to the floor. Let's lean back just a touch till you feel your core and those quads working a little bit. We'll come up nice and tall and then lean it back. Good. Again, come up nice and tall. Lean it back. Take it up nice and tall. And lean it back. All right, we'll come upright. Let's take those arms forward. We're going to lean back just a touch into those quads and let's open an arm out to the side. Follow it with your head. Inhale it back to the center. Switch it up to the other side. Inhale, center, exhale, and open. Inhale, center, and exhale and open. Take those arms back to the center. We're going to come upright, bring those hands to the hips, and let's extend one leg out to the side, dropping into a square hip position, feeling that inner thigh open up. We can take that foot a little bit forward of the body if you feel like you're going to start cramping in that hip. Let's hinge that body forward, move into that stretch for the inner thigh. We'll inhale up tall. Again, exhale, hinge it forward. Inhale up. One more time, hinge it forward. Inhale up tall, arms float out to the side. Let's take a big breath in. Side bend, keeping that core active. And let's come up and over to the other side. Again, good. Side bend, reach. Up and over. One more time, side bend, reach. We're going to hold that leg up in the air and pulse it. Do your best here. 3, 2, and 1. Come up nice and tall. We'll side bend toward that straight leg. Let's come up. We'll take our hands right back to the hips. Switch it over to the other side. Extend that other leg a little bit forward of the body if you need to, and we'll drop into that square hip position, lengthening through that inner thigh. Big breath in. Draw the core in, and let's hinge forward. Find that inner thigh stretch and come up nice and tall. We could always have the hands on the floor if you feel steadier that way. That's absolutely an option. One more hinge. Take it up tall. Arms come out to the sides. Breathe it in and side bend toward that bent knee. Reaching that foot up. And we'll take it up and over. Side bend, reach. Take it up and over. One more time. Side bend, reach. We'll hold it there. Float that leg up. Pulse. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come up nice and tall. Let's come back to that kneeling position and we'll roll those shoulders up, back, and down. Here's 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's make our way all the way down to our sides. We're in the home stretch. We're working a little bit more for that lower body before we make our way up to the end of our class. Rest on that lower arm. Knees are forward, heels are lined up with the bottom. We're going to lift up our waistline just a touch from the mat. And let's take our top hand, press it into the floor, lift and lower those knees. Keep breathing. This is a hard one to avoid holding your breath on. So pay extra attention that you're breathing through these reps. Knees come down, top knee alone lifts up and down. Keep that waistline lifted. 4 more. Good. Last one, knees come down, feet lift. Let's take again that top knee up and down. Good. Hands could be on the belly if you need a little monitoring. There's 3, 2, 1. Hold that foot up there, straighten and bend the knee for 3, for 2, for 1. Straighten and bend that bottom knee for 3, for 2, for 1. Knees come down, feet come down, reset that waistline. Top knee comes up and down, fire hydrants. There's 4, 3, 2, and 1. Back to hip height, straighten that bottom leg out. Touch those top toes to the bottom knee. Take that knee down and up. Hand can be down in front for a little stability if you need it. Here's 4, 3, 2, and 1. Stretch that top leg out in line with the body. Swing it forward, kick, kick, and point. Twice more. Kick, kick, and point. Kick, kick, and point. Hold that top leg back behind the body. Touch the toes down. Lift them up. Here's 4, 3, 2, and 1. Hold that leg up there. Bottom leg comes up and down to meet that top leg. Here's 4, 3, 2. Hold them up there. Flutter kick those legs. Maybe that top arm comes up. Pause, glue those feet together, hold. Lower those feet down. Bend the knees up. We'll pat our hip out. Good job. Let's take it up and over. Repeat on the other side. All right. And remember, if you have any tender spots on your hip, you could always roll slightly forward or slightly backward of that sore spot. You'll still get effective use of those top muscles. We're going to rest that upper body, lift that waistline up from the floor, press that top hand into the mat. We'll lift and lower those knees for 6. Keep breathing. Here's 3, 2, 1. Knees come down. Top knee alone lifts up and down. Hand could be at the belly if you'd like. Here's 3, 2, and 1. Knees come down, lift those feet, maintain that waistline lift. Top knee comes up and down for 6. Here's 3, 2, and 1. Hold it up there, straighten and bend that top knee. There's 3, 2, 1. Straighten and bend that bottom knee. Everything else stays still as we can keep it. Here's 2. Here's 1. Bring those knees together. Bring those feet down. Keep that waistline lifted. Fire hydrant lifts with the top leg. Here's 3. Here's 2. Here's 1. Bring it back to hip height. Straighten your bottom leg out. Bring those top toes down. Top knee comes down and up. Again, that top fingertip area could be down on the floor for stability. Here's 3, 2, 1. Straighten out that top leg. Swing it forward. Draw it back. Twice more. Draw it back. Again. Draw it back and hold it. Let's touch those toes down. Lift them up. Here's 3. Here's 2. Here's 1. Hold it up there. Bottom leg comes up and down. Here's 3, 2, 1. Flutter kick those legs. Top hand could be down. Top hand could be up to the ceiling. Pause those feet. Hold them up there. Big breath in. Exhale them down. Bend those knees up. And pat that hip out. Good job. Let's turn to our backs. Rest that head on the mat. We're going to line our heels up with those sit bones. Let that body sink down into the floor as we take a big breath in. Exhale. Draw that belly to the spine. Press your heels down into the floor, and we're going to lift those glutes up. Stretch those hips to the ceiling. Give the front of the thighs a nice little stretch. Hold it there, pressing those shoulders into the floor. Big breath in. Exhale, lower that body down to the floor. Release. Let's cross one ankle over to the other knee. Give that knee a little pull into the chest if you need a little more stretch. And we'll rock the body away from that cross leg side for a big breath. Exhale, take it right back to the middle. Bring those feet down, switch it up, cross that opposite leg. Pull up if you need more. Rock that body away from that crossed leg for a big breath in. And a big breath out. Take it back to the middle. Unwind, give those knees a hug. We'll take our feet to the floor and let's turn it over to hands and knees. All right, draw that belly in. We're going to turn those toes under. Walk your hands back towards your knees. Let's place those flat feet on the floor. Once your weight's over the front of the ankles, we'll stand up nice and tall. All right. Shake out those knees. Let's bring our feet hip width apart. Line that weight up over the front of the ankle joints. We'll lift our toes, spread them apart, and let's take them down one at a time. Pressing that big toe into the floor, let's shift the weight forward. If you want to find something to hold onto for a little balance assist, now's a great time to go grab the wall for a chair. We'll take our weight up and down on our toes, keeping the weight over the balls of the feet. Good. Here's 3. Here's 2. Here's 1. Hold it up there. Big breath in. Keep the weight forward as we exhale, bring those feet down. Shake those knees out. Stepping toward the back of our mat, we'll stand in a heel toe position. Hold it there. Adding to the challenge, you can look side to side if you'd like. Let's look forward. Shift the weight to that back leg. We'll rise up into single leg balance. Try to keep those hips nice and square. Hold for 3, for 2, and for 1. Let's put that second leg down. Shift the other foot in front of it. Find that single leg balance. Hold it there. Add the head turn if you'd like. Whoop, lose it there. Back to the center. We'll shift our weight toward that back leg. Lift up into single leg balance, again, squaring off those hips. Hold for 4. Hold for 3, 2, and 1. We did it, guys. Let's take our feet apart from each other. A little wider than our shoulders. Shake those legs out. We'll roll our shoulders back and down for 3, for 2, And for one, soften up those knees. Let's take a big breath in, reach those arms up. As our palms come together, we'll bring our feet together as well. Inhale, fingertips reach to the ceiling, and we'll exhale them into our center. Great job as always. Thanks for coming, and looking forward to seeing you all again next time.